Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. As we have started a series of lectures on the subject of immunology, especially for class 12th. So today we are going to discuss an important and interesting topic about immunology, and that is the basis of immune system or basis of immunity, or we can write principle of immunity. That is what is the principle on which our immune system or on which our immunity works. Or sometimes you may be asked a question like this: recognition between self and non-self. So this is our today's topic, and the question is that how our immune system works so efficiently that it fights against only foreign materials or foreign cells or foreign antigen, whereas it keeps on tolerating its own cells, its own antigens. Suppose if we talk about blood groups in humans, blood groups, we know that there are various types of blood groups found in human beings. The common ones are B, AB, O, and we know that we cannot transfuse blood randomly from these type of persons having the different types of blood groups. Suppose, let me explain to you. We will take here two types of blood groups. For example, this is blood group A, and this is blood group B. And we also know that why there are different types of blood groups found in humans, because the different types of blood groups in human beings are due to presence of different types of antigens on the surface of their red blood cells. For example, a person having A blood group is having A antigen on its RBC surface. This is antigen. एंटीजन को हम AG से डिनोट करते हैं और एंटीबॉडी को हम AB से डिनोट करेंगे. And we also know that the person having B type of blood group has actually B type of antigen on the surface of its RBC. क्योंकि ये जो blood group types होते हैं, it depends upon which type of antigen is present on the surface of RBCs. अगर A एंटीजन प्रेजेंट होगा और उस इंसान के ब्लड में A एंटीजन प्रेजेंट होगा उसके आरबीसीज के सरफेस पे, तो उसमें हम बोलेंगे उसमें A ब्लड ग्रुप है. अगर उस इंसान के आरबीसीज के सरफेस पे B एंटीजन होगा, B एंटीजन प्रेजेंट होगा, then definitely he will be having B type of blood group. But we also know that the person having A type of blood group is carrying antibody B in his plasma or blood, we can say. And also the person having B type of blood group is having antibody A in his blood. So here you can see that why we cannot transfuse or transfer blood randomly from different types of blood group types. Suppose if we try to transfuse blood from A blood group person to the blood of B blood group person, what will happen? We know that in the B type of blood group person, there his or her plasma will be having A antibody, and this antibody will attack those RBCs that will be having A antigen, and what will happen here? The RBCs will be destructed. ठीक है? And if we try to transfer blood from B blood group person to the A type of A blood group person, and here the RBCs of B blood group type person will be destructed due to presence of antibody B. Here antibody B will work against the B type RBCs. So this is the reason that why We cannot transfuse blood randomly between different types of blood group persons. Or we can say that what is the reason behind this? Why why we cannot transfer blood randomly? What is the main reason behind it? And immunology says that actually our immune system has a special character, special property, that it always recognizes between self and non-self. Here I will write self and non-self. So there is always a recognition between self and non-self. That means self materials or self cells or self antigens are always tolerated, or we can say retained. These are always tolerated by our body, by our immune system, self cells, by our body's own cells. But what about the non-self type, non-self antigens? What about the non-self cells? What about the non-self antigens? What about the non-self tissues? And definitely you may be knowing that the non-self materials are always destroyed by our immune system. Non-self materials are never tolerated. They are destroyed by our immune system. Now, why this happens? How our immune system is able to tolerate our own cells, while as it is always very aggressive towards the non-self or non-self cells or non-self antigens. So let me first wipe this. And actually this recognition between this self and non-self cells or antigens, this is very important for our body, because this is actually the principle on which our immune system, on which our immunity works. So before trying to explain the clear picture of this self and non-self recognition, or why it happens, how it happens, let me first talk to you about antigens or term antigen. क्योंकि जब तक हमें एंटीजन के बारे में अच्छे से पता नहीं होगा, पूरा क्लियर नहीं होगा, तब तक हम इस टॉपिक को गेन नहीं कर सकेंगे, तब तक इस टॉपिक पे हमारा फोकस नहीं होगा. सो let me first explain what is an antigen. Actually this antigen is short form. It is the short form for antibody generating substance. Antigen, it is a short form for antibody generating substance. Anti, here it is anti, and second part is gen. Gen stands for generating. That is why these are called as antigens, antibody generating substances. And now the question is, why these are called as antigens? Because actually these are those substances that stimulate our immune system to produce antibody. With the result, antibodies are generated, antibodies are produced. So we call these antigens. And these antigens could be any pathogen, suppose virus or bacteria or protozoa or fungi or helminth, or even toxins, or any toxin can also be act as antigen. Or even antigens can be even parts of these pathogens, or part of a toxin. For example, we have viral proteins. Sometimes even a viral protein acts as antigen, and sometimes even a bacterial polysaccharide acts as a antigen, or sometimes a fungal protein acts as an antigen. So this is what we should be knowing about the basic about the term antigen. But sometimes another term is used in place of antigen, and that is immunogen. Immunogen. But here we should remember that the two terms immunogen and antigen, though sometimes these are found in some textbooks that these two terms are used synonymously, but there is an important, very important distinction between the two terms. Suppose if we have two terms here, we'll write antigen and another term is immunogen. So we will here understand how these two terms are different, or we can say that what is there something common between the two terms and other thing is different, or are the two terms totally different from each other. तो यहाँ पे आपको समझ में आएगा, ठीक है. Both antigen as well as immunogen, both are foreign materials. Foreign, or we can say non-self. Both are non-self materials. Both antigen as well as immunogen bind with antibody. Binds with antibody, and it also binds with antibody. Then where lies the actual difference? The difference is that this antigen may or may not cause immune response, but this immunogen, this substance or immunogen, it definitely produces an immune response. So here it is clear now that antigen may or may not cause immune response, but immunogen is that substance which definitely produces immune response. The reason is that there are some substances that act as antigens. That is, they are foreign, they bind with antibody, but still they fail to produce, and still they stimulate exactly to produce our immune system to produce antibodies, and those types are called as haptens. So these haptens are those antigens which fail to or those substances which fail to stimulate our, or which fail to cause our immune response in our immune system. So moving on to our actual topic. Now here we have learned that actually our immune system works mainly, it is based mainly on the principle of recognition between self and non-self. Now here an interesting, very important question arises in our minds, that is, why our immune system works, or we can write here destroys foreign or non-self materials, and why our immune system destroys foreign or non-self materials, while as it selects or it supports, or we can say it tolerates own cells or own or self antigens or self cells we can write. So this is an important question in our minds, that how this principle of recognition between self as well as non-self, how it works, or why, how it happens, why this occurs. यानी कि हम ये बोल सकते हैं कि हमारा जो इम्यून सिस्टम है वो सिर्फ हमारी ओन सेल्स को कैसे टॉलरेट करता है, यानी कि वो जो अदर फॉरेन मटेरियल्स होते हैं, फॉरेन सेल्स होते हैं, उनको क्यों वो डिस्ट्रॉय करता है। यानी कि ये रिकॉग्निशन जो प्रॉपर्टी होती है, व्हाई हाउ इट वर्क्स, ये रिकॉग्निशन प्रॉपर्टी कैसे आती है हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम में। दिस इज आवर forward portion. So the answer to this question, that why our immune system tolerates cells and works only against foreign materials, actually this thing was explained by two biologists. Their names are Mac Burnett and Peter Medawar. Mac Burnett and Peter Medawar, these were the two biologists who explained why our immune system is able to tolerate our own cells, whereas it hardly tolerates any foreign or non-self material. These are the two biologists. They explained this thing in their theory. They give a theory. That theory is known as theory of immune tolerance. They gave a theory called as theory of immune tolerance. And it is in this theory they explained the thing we here already discussed, why it happens. And for this theory, for this explanation, they got a Nobel Prize in physiology in 1960. And now let us understand this theory so that we can understand the actual cause of this thing we are discussing here. They said that actually what happens during embryonic development, that is when the embryo is developing inside mother's womb, mother's uterus. Embryonic development. And when the fetus is about 2 months old, they said that at this age there is generation of lymphoblasts. Mac Burnett and Peter Medawar said that during the embryonic development, when the fetus is about 2 months old, there is generation of lymphoblasts, but from stem cells, and those stem cells are called as embryonic stem cells, because it is previously it was embryo, then after reaching to this age it is called as fetus, because we know that before up to 8 weeks or 2 months, we cannot use term fetus. We generally prefer to using term embryo. But after crossing this age, after we can say from 2 months onwards or from 8 weeks onwards, we use the term fetus, and this will be already knowing well. Here the question is about embryonic stem cells. The embryonic stem cells will be giving rise to lymphoblasts. Embryonic stem cells are derived from embryo में present होते हैं, and I am saying that they said these embryonic stem cells give rise to lymphoblasts cells, and These lymphoblasts then differentiated and divided to form two types of lymphocytes. Two types of lymphocytes are then formed from lymphoblasts. One group of lymphocytes called as self-reacting lymphocytes, because we know that these lymphocytes, here we should remember that these lymphocytes are actually the cells that are responsible for the recognition property of our immune system. यही असल में हमारी हमारी जो इम्यूनिटी होती है, especially if we talk about adaptive immunity or acquired immunity. So this thing is not about this is not about the non-specific type or innate immunity, because lymphocytes or our immune system is mainly based on adaptive or acquired immunity, and these are the cells that deal with the function of adaptive immunity or acquired immunity. B and T cells, या ये इनकी फर्दर टाइप्स होती है, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. But here I only want to say that these lymphocytes are actually the cells that are responsible for recognition property, or we can say that these lymphocytes are actually the cells that give the acquired or the adaptive immunity its specific nature, ठीक है, due to their recognition property. So यहाँ पे हम कहाँ पहुंचे, embryonic stem cell से lymphocytes बनेगी. Lymphocytes will give rise to two groups of cells. One is self-reacting lymphocytes and another is self-tolerating lymphocytes. So there will be formed self-reacting lymphocytes and self-tolerating lymphocytes. And what are these self-reacting lymphocytes? These are those lymphocytes actually that reacted with self cells, or it is cells of fetus, self cells and self proteins or self antigens. उनको हमने बोला self-reacting lymphocytes. And what happened to these types of lymphocytes that try to react with fetus's own cells or its own antigens, own proteins? So their fate was that these were destroyed, or we can say these were rejected. These were rejected by the body of fetus, by the immune system of fetus. And what are these self-tolerating lymphocytes? These are those lymphocytes that remained away from reacting with fetus's own cells or fetus's self proteins or self antigens. So let me repeat this thing. After generation of lymphoblasts from embryonic stem cells, we got two groups of cells: self-reacting lymphocytes and self-tolerating lymphocytes. Self-reacting lymphocytes are those that some cells reacted with fetus's own cells, and those we call those cells self-reacting lymphocytes, and those get destroyed or those get rejected by our body. Whereas some cells tolerated the fetus cells, and they does not react with the fetus's own cells or own proteins. Those cells we call self-tolerating lymphocytes. But the fate of self-tolerating lymphocytes is totally different from the fate of self-reacting lymphocytes. So as here we can guess that these will be get selected. So these cells got selected by our body, but these cells got destroyed, rejected, or we can say deleted. तो बर्नेट और मेडावार ने इस चीज को क्या बोला? इस चीज को उन्होंने बोला कोलोनल डिलीशन, और इस चीज को क्या बोला? कोलोनल सिलेक्शन. So dear friends, this is how the two Nobel Prize winners or two great biologists explained the main reason behind the self-tolerance nature of our immune system. So these two biologists explained it very efficiently. Now here at last we will be dealing with an exception. There is an exception. In other words, what we try to learn from our today's topic, that carries an exception, because we know that you may be knowing that biology is called the science of exceptions. So in our immune system or immunology, we say the main exception is initially what happens. There is an exception that sometimes our body's own cells, our body's own antigens get attacked by our own immune system. That is what happens there. Actually, some cells, let me write first. Some cells get attacked by our body's own immune system or own antibodies. हमारी कभी कभार क्या होता है, हमारी इम्यून सिस्टम की या हमारी एंटीबॉडीज वो हमारी बॉडी के ओन सेल्स के खिलाफ काम करती है, उनको अटैक करती है. एंड दिस थिंग इज कॉल्ड एज ऑटो इम्यूनिटी. ऑटो इम्यूनिटी. Autoimmunity simply means when our body or when our immune system works against our own body cells. This is called as autoimmunity. And यहाँ पे ये थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो autoimmunity it is totally against the normal rule, because the normal rule is not to attack own cells, not to fight against own cells. But here the rule gets changed. Here body's own cells are attacked by body's own immune system, own antibodies, and this thing is called as autoimmunity. And this autoimmunity, there are various reasons for this, why this happens. This is another topic. This will be discussed some other days, in coming days, inshallah. So if this autoimmunity becomes an exception to be kept in mind for future better understanding. And this autoimmunity, this leads to further some diseases in human beings, and those diseases are called as autoimmune disease. Autoimmunity leads to a group of diseases in human beings, and those are called as autoimmune disease. We can give some examples also. For example, we have myasthenia gravis, or some people have multiple sclerosis. This is a muscular disorder, and this is a nervous disorder. And some people get attacked by another type of autoimmune disease, chronic hepatitis. So these are some autoimmune diseases. Inshallah, we will be discussing these things more clearly into coming days. So dear friends, I hope आपको लेक्चर पसंद आया होगा. So stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.